Hey there, this is Taylor with Hack& Company at RE/MAX River City, and I am having a great month, actually. September went really well. September's looking very interesting for our market, like a benchmark month. And around overall, a lot of people in the greater Edmonton area are having great real estate experiences, learning new things about how their properties are building equity and how our market is taking shape. And it's been interesting for us as well. Let me bring out some friends here. Anthony D'Souza, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Taylor. Thank you.
Excellent. And you also had an incredible September, being one of the top teammates at RE/MAX River City. That must have felt great.
Yeah, it felt great, especially since we were gone for a week out at that conference. But, got some great teammates that were willing to help and still had a pretty awesome month with my clients.
That's awesome. We've also got Ryan Vitale. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing good, Taylor. How are you?
I'm doing really well. And you were also one of the top teammates at RE/MAX River City in September. That's got to feel fantastic.
Feels great. It really feels like the summer momentum is still carrying on into the fall market here. So exciting.
Oh, that's great. And also, we had a successful client event last weekend. We were out visiting the people at K3 Family Farm in Corn Mace, out east of Sherwood Park there. And that was a pretty great experience. What did you guys think?
I thought it was awesome.
Oh, yeah? You got any marks from your son Levi shooting you in the they have this little, like, I don't even know what to call it. It's not necessarily airsoft because it uses like squishy balls. Would we call it Nerf soft?
Yeah, like Nerf balls, right? That Wild West shootout was pretty fun.
Yep. That was totally good. And Ryan, what did you think?
Yeah, it was great. It was a subtle realization that I'm not as young as I think I am anymore.
Oh, yeah?
Do the acrobatics, dive and roll, and
oh, yeah,
as I used to be.
You always get some reminders on that stuff the next day when your body does the theme song to Rice Krispies in like 7 different languages. Well, as far as looking back on the month it was, I know that we're going to talk about market statistics, but sometimes it's zooming in. Tony, as an established agent, you come into a lot of situations, but you've actually seen a little bit different, a different part of the market than what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. We're always talking about the hottest points. This is going up, multiple offers over here, but you actually found something that's an interesting kind of pickup. Can you tell us more about helping those families? I think it was over in Glastonbury.
Yeah, we had seen a property that was really interesting to us, just be on the market for a while. And we had seen a lot of its competition nearby. And this property was actually pretty good in comparison, but it had been on the market so long, my clients had some concerns. We were able to dive in a little bit more and find out it was just price, right? When they first came on the market, they were way over listed. And we see this with sellers sometimes when they're convinced that they have to list higher, and people just make offers, right? And we just know that's just not true. You really have to measure and manage, and it takes a while to really find that sweet spot. But we ended up approaching this property and talking to the agent, and we can almost smell that nervousness, right? They know that this, just given the time of year and the length of time that this property had been for sale, that if it didn't go soon, it probably wouldn't be going at all this year. And they would be trying again next year, or they'd likely be trying with a different agent if it didn't work. So we basically we took a swing, we held our ground, and we got them an incredible property at a great price.
That's fantastic, because there's so many people that are having trouble reading our market right now. They can't see that the market is fragmented, that there are hot spots and not hot spots. And a lot of people don't know how to react to the changing sale prices. When you pull comparables for a property, you might be looking over the last 90 days, but 90 days ago, those comparables wouldn't sell for the same price if they were listed today. And that leads to a whole bunch of confusion. The way that some agents are managing this is they're actually listing properties over the market and hoping that the market will kind of catch up to their expectation. And that leaves them in this situation where all of a sudden the market's not interested anymore, the showings dry up, and then you get that agent that's really nervous, and suddenly you come for a showing. And was it how they followed up with you? Was it that conversation when you talked to them after the showing or feedback?
It's a combination of a couple of things. Another thing that was kind of interesting is we ended up seeing the family as they were leaving, as almost they were like begging us to make an offer. So shout out to our sellers that vacate the property early and don't disclose anything like that information. But it was just one of those things you could get that feeling. And then definitely conversations with the agent afterwards are like, you know, telling us to send an offer without telling us to send an offer.
Totally. And I don't think that people understand what that message is. Like when we hear people begging for an offer, we know that it's not coming at list price. And I also find that that's kind of interesting. Like when you're in an open house on your own listing, there's some people that come to me and they feel like they're going to get inside information because I'm the listing agent. I'm not here just to sell this property. I'm not starving for my next deal. Like I should have to read you Miranda rights. Anything you say can and will be held against you, because I'm totally going to ask the necessary questions to find the information that is going to help my seller get to the finish line. But a lot of people just don't understand that. Don't talk to any agent that's not your agent. You know? Ryan, you were telling me earlier that there were deals to be had in Chappelle. So you were out in the south side of Edmonton. What kind of properties were you looking for?
Yeah, so we were looking at single level apartments, and was actually surprised to see kind of what's available and what you can get for your money. And kind of like you were saying, you know, hot spots and cold spots, we're definitely noticing that there is still a little bit of room, depending on what you're looking for, to get a bit of a deal there. And we were luckily able to get quite a bit off list price for some clients I was working with, and help them get all settled in.
That's amazing, because a lot of buyers are not having this experience right now. A lot of buyers are not in a one-on-one negotiation. They're in a one-on-some negotiation in some cases. Like this last month was probably one of my most dynamic months as a listing agent for properties that we brought to the market. I definitely set my personal best with a property over on the south side that had 24 offers. That's the most that I've had as a listing agent previously. And when I was texting back to agents and telling them like, yeah, you know, you're one of 24, here's the list of all the agents and their brokerages. The responses I get were hilarious, right? It was like, wow, there were some agents that, you know, I'm not going to say who, but may have dropped some profanity. They were just amazed. They probably themselves had not seen a situation where there were 24 offers. And that was awesome, because when we take a look at, like, there's a distance between list and sale price, and obviously sale price is part of a strategy. We call it price as a marketing tool. And by using price, we were able to basically acquire more marketing than we could afford. Meaning when people see something that is like too good to be true or might be too good to be true, they are so attracted to that it did more than just like put the property on the MLS. It rocked the MLS. So the amount of showing volume that we had through there was incredible. And then when it came down to the offers, our comparables in that neighborhood in Satu, they were probably around 380,000. And the result of this property was way over that. We got 128% of list price. That meant so much to my client that they're now headed to Disneyland. You know how, like, when you saw, like, I don't know if you saw this when you were a kid, Tony, you watched a lot of hockey, but one of the things that will always stick in my mind is Patrick Waugh winning the Stanley Cup. And then when the camera goes to him, they're like, what are you going to do, Patrick? And he's like, I'm going to Disneyland. And as a kid, I was just like, oh, man, that's what victory feels like. And this family is feeling that victory. They're feeling Disneyland victory. Is that more than 5 stars? Is that what a 7-star looks like? We'll see. But that was probably one of my funnest experiences in real estate in the last while. And we've done it again. We had that townhouse in St. Albert, multiple offers on that one. It's sold now. We had multiple offers on Braeside, and that one's gone now. Just some great seller experiences. So there are people that approach this differently. Like both of you were talking about sellers that were approaching this by like trying to predict the market and trying to like play off of things and maybe a little bit of hopes and dreams. And we're taking people to the market with a clear plan that's designed for a market like this. And the reason that we can have a plan for a market that just came this way, the reason that it's so surprising to agents around us is because these plans didn't come from here. They came from hot markets like Toronto and Vancouver. And Tony, we were just in Toronto here this last month, hanging out with one of the best networks in real estate in the world. And it was awesome because we keep bringing plans back from there. Was there anything that you saw in when we were in Toronto this time that was different than when we were there last year?
Yeah, I think the last time we were there, people were like just learning about how hot Edmonton's market had been, right? And like the prices and all that good stuff. And now this time around, they're like, it's still going. And agents are becoming way more intrigued and tuned into our market because a lot of them are investors too, right? And they're looking at the opportunities that still present themselves, especially here in Edmonton, and just breaking down overall costs of like a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo downtown and like how many you can get for the cost of one in the Toronto area. So it was kind of neat to see all the attention that Edmonton is getting. And no one wanted to talk to us before, but everyone wants a piece of us now.
Isn't that crazy? It must be like what it is to be like a pretty girl at a party. Because I was telling some people at the conference about being able to buy a condo near downtown for $250,000. And I was also telling them about rent being up year over year so significantly. Like, last time I checked the numbers, it was up 20%. In some places. And that's something that is bucking the trend when it comes to national real estate, where rent is up here and it's not up in other places. It's actually going down in Toronto and Vancouver right now. I think that Toronto's at minus 9% year over year. And here we are in Edmonton just crushing it on the other side. Let's break it down a little bit. So I'm going to show off, this is a chart, and what we're looking at here is months of inventory. Along the left of the screen, we see 2024, and these are actually like the months of January, February, March. Kind of works down to where we are here in September. But the trend line is what I want to pay attention to, because the lower this orange line is, which is the 2024 line, the hotter our market is, which means more buyers, less sellers, prices are going up, more multiple offer situations, and homeowners gaining equity, right? And we can see that we are now kind of forging the way, and we're following the natural trend line of the year, but it's way lower than it is normally. How does this translate? I'm saying that I'm getting multiple offers on my listings. You're saying that there's like some deals to be had, but overall, would you agree with what this trend line is showing? Where buyers are kind of feeling like they're on an uphill battle and sellers are feeling like calm control?
Yeah, for the most part, right? Like there's always going to be those anomalies where the sellers are like, this isn't that great. And it's likely because the person that they've chosen to go into battle with, right? They might not be in tune with us at the market, like others are, like ourselves. We try to bring great information to the people we work with. And it does feel super hot. Like, I don't think I've ever had an October that's starting out this busy. My entire career, 5 years here on the team. So I'm excited to see where this is going. Seeing that line as low as it is, when I thought last year at this time being 3.2 months of inventory, and now it's at 2.5, and it's like it feels hotter than that. So I'll be interested to see where October ends up.
I totally agree with that. Ryan, when you were working throughout this month, I think that you had 5 different clients that were buying properties. Did you have many situations where you were in multiple offers?
Yeah, a couple. Like you said, there's hot parts and cold parts of the market. So it really just depends on the property type. When you get into stuff that's a little bit closer to like townhouse and single family, it seems like there's definitely more of an appetite there. But still, I mean, I've been dealing with a lot of investors lately too, and it seems like a lot of them are kind of hedging their bets and looking at, single, like 2-bedroom apartments, single level apartments, and saying, well, there's so much upward potential here. And coming from other markets where you know, they would have to pay like 400, 500 to get something like that. It really, and then going back to what you're saying about rents going up, it's just recipe for a really good investment right now, I think. So there's a lot of people kind of looking at that, and still knowing that they can get a bit of a deal and get a little bit of money off. But yeah, as you kind of move upward into the market, there's still a lot of competition out there. So yeah, definitely sellers having a better time right now, I would say, for the most part.
And of the multiple offers that you were representing buyers in, how many times did you compete this month?
I think twice.
And out of those twice, did you have any wins?
Both times.
2 for 2. Let's go. You know, there's some people out there that are going like 1 for 6 right now. I met an agent the other day that was 0 for 5. So that's great. Way to bring your clients to the win. There's a lot of people that don't see that as well. Like the strategies we're using to win on the sales side, we also brought home strategies to win on the purchase side. Like that person that went 0 and 5, could you imagine? Each time that they missed, those houses went up in price the next time. Like the next seller benched off this one and the next seller benched off that one. So if they win on the 6th time, the pain point of paying that much money over what it would have taken to win on the 1st time, I really wish more people could see that. Here's why. Here's why this is a thing. Look at this. This is our inventory right now in the greater Edmonton area for the year. And what we can see on the left-hand side is where we're at in 2024. What we can see is what's normal. We should have like 1,400 properties more on the market right now, and we don't have them, right? When you take a look at that as a percentage base, that's like a 20%-ish missing houses, 2 for 10. And if we were to highlight that and say, well, like, what does that mean on the sales side? You know, look at these on the sales side. You want to see these high arcs, right? And right now, our sales are massively outpacing our new listings because our new listings are on trend, but our sales are above trend. And that leaves our inventory to be far below what's normal. And this is what it looks like live. When you take a look at flow rate, you can see that for our total, detached overall, for total residential, for every 10 properties that show up, 8 are leaving in the same month. Now, we knew that detached properties were hot. Right now, though, they're only 7 out of 10. So some of the listings that are showing up are outpacing the market. They're sticking around longer. Maybe buyer demand isn't as focused there because the prices are rising a bit. But then duplexes, I think since COVID, have kind of been pretty good. And we've been seeing that right now they're kind of struggling to make 8 out of 10, where earlier this year, 9 out of 10 was pretty regular. And that's way over where they are normally. Further, when we go down to this, this would be row and townhouse. Tony, you were saying that this segment has been surprising you the most, the way that this has been heating up. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think it does go back to the point you mentioned earlier about rents. Like you can rent a townhouse for like $2,000 right now, which is way more than the mortgage would be on the average, priced property. And so I think that there's lots of opportunities with the townhouses that are on the market and are approaching the market. And I know that I'm talking about a couple of townhouses this weekend with some potential sellers, and I know they're excited to hear this news.
Mm-hmm. And still, kind of a bit of a dog, but getting better is the apartment-style condos, right? We're seeing them like do better on the number of list and sell than normally, but really, like the overall story of condos is their sales have been in the record range all year. Right? Just blowing away what we see as the 5-year average. But then when you go over to new listings, the way the market responded to this many sales was with record listings, which is slowing down the absorption rate. Like I thought that we would be equalized a little bit earlier this year, and now it's looking like it's probably going to be a spring thing for sure. And the reason that I think that is that when we take a look at what's normal for these new listings overall, we can see that near the end of the year, it pretty much drops off every single year. So everything that doesn't sell is probably going to find a tenant, or it's going to leave the market, and we're going to start to load up again in January for next year. So like the number of new listings, if you're somebody who's shopping in our market right now, I don't know if I'd have a lot of confidence that I'm going to get like what I need to get this year, because the number of properties that are coming to the market just normally diminishes. We're talking to people that are getting ready to list right now. I know that like I have a duplex that's coming up in Glenridding. We got a property that's on opening weekend here right now over in Carlisle. We've got a couple of more planning to come throughout the city. Tony, I know that you have a couple in mind as well. They're still coming as new listings. How many of your new listing appointments right now are saying maybe next year?
There's a couple of people talking about that. For the most part, people are feeling pretty good about the way our market's looking now. So yeah, way less than normal.
I definitely came through two people that have had me through preparing for the spring. And that's something that's a great idea. I am happy to come by and check out your house if you're getting ready for 2025. We can go room by room and talk about the things that would make sense for you to change for the market and the things that don't. The appetite here right now is very different than it once was. Like move-in ready gets a lot of reward right now. So those types of things, if you don't have a move-in ready house, then you should probably talk to us, because we have a great network of people that can help you. And if you do have a move-in ready house, you may want to consider approaching this winter market. Depending on what you're doing and what you're going to buy, that's going to kind of factor into that decision, and we can help you make an informed decision then. Because Tony's been taking some sniper shots at some stuff that's old in the tooth. Like there's some good deals to be bought, and Ryan's just been laying a pounding, especially in the condo market. I know that you've been taking some money away from some condo sellers there, doing good market research, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How is your experience in those buildings? So in the buildings that you're buying, we normally check the building on the way in. When you see like the numbers coming back for the last 12 months in any building, how many out of 10 that have finished are selling?
So what we like to see is at least, 7 out of 10, solid kind of 70% of regular sales happening is just signs of like a healthy building kind of on the outside looking in. Have come across a couple here and there that, be kind of at like 2 out of 10 are going or 1 out of 10 are going. Well, now you have kind of to take a broader view, and definitely it's not to say that, whether or not your client should buy a property there, but you definitely want, if they're very interested, to have a good look at the condo docs and make sure everything's what it should be, because those are kind of some telltale signs.
Yeah, like think about condos with like half of it is, do you like this place to live or to rent out, depending on that. The other half is, do you want to be part of this financial decision-making community? And in some cases, if they've made such poor decisions that only 2 of the 10 properties that get listed there actually sell, that's telling you, that's like a score to their homework. Whereas if 7 out of 10 are selling, that like condo boards are kind of like a group project. You guys remember those from school? But imagine nobody wants to be at school. Like group projects were already difficult before nobody wanted to be at school. And that's a lot of what it's like to watch condo boards make decisions. And so in that case, like we see things that are run well, and we also see people that don't do their homework. And that can derail things. Like if you don't have a reserve fund study that's in the last 5 years, that's going to raise some red flags. If you've failed to financially manage the property due to the point where you're issuing 5-digit assessments, like, man, most of your competing buildings are not in that circumstance. And that's kind of the case. And we often also see when things are like announced that they're going poorly, that a whole bunch of places list at once, but fail to sell because people are trying to escape. So these are the things that you want to know before you put offers on condos. These are the things that you want to know before you put your money on the line. So great in checking those, Ryan. That really makes a difference. Where do you guys see prices? Like, is there somewhere where you feel like prices are going up the most? Like, is it a price range or a property type where you're like, man, every time I list one of these things, it seems to be way more money than the last one I listed?
I'm feeling like that with the semi-detached homes, and as well as bungalows. Like bungalows, trying to find a good one right now is so difficult. So if I had, if I could choose my next 10 listings, it would be all bungalows and semi-detached homes in great neighborhoods.
I would agree with that. The market response to the bungalow that we listed in Braeside was surprising. The sale price of that property was surprising. And what that means is those people out there that used to be so nervous to list their place because they have, like, it's just not perfect. Like, they know that some things are good and some things are not so good. Welcome to your market. Because even on that one, the inspection requests that we expected versus the inspection requests that we got, very different. And that means that sellers are really having a good time. So if you've got kind of something that you think that you would have to sell on sale because it's like a scratch and dent model, bring it on over. You may be surprised at how the market receives you if you've got a bungalow. And what you're talking about, Tony, is like those 1950s, 1960s bungalows in those mature neighborhoods with big lots, detached garages, and very few adults on kids' bikes. Right? As realtors, we know if we cruise into your neighborhood and there's a bunch of adults on BMX bikes, this is not a good place to be. Right? There's stuff that goes missing in that neighborhood.
Yeah, the amount of people we've moved from, like, Sherwood or Britannia, Youngstown into different parts of Edmonton or St. Albert, Sherwood Park, Spruce Grove even. They're like, this is much different than what we experienced, and they're getting way more value than they thought.
I remember moving some people to Sherwood Park, and they saw this kid like leave their bike on the front lawn and go into their house, and they were like, that doesn't happen where we are. That bike would be gone. Let's take a look at how average price is kind of moving in our market. So this is what we're talking about, where things are suddenly more expensive than they once were. We can see the trend line there of average price, and this is for everything that has hit the MLS. It's pretty much like left the building. This would be kind of akin to a home run as we leave. Like, look at the span from all of the years beforehand to where this stuff has taken place. And when there isn't very much activity in the market, like remember during COVID, like 2021, where there was action, but it was in such a specific part of the market, we knew that it wasn't trickling out to everything. Everything wasn't gaining value the same way as those single family detached houses over 500 were gaining value. They were crushing it. But here, our market is so widely like the sales are so wide across the spectrum now that we can actually confidently say that average price is showing us that prices are moving up, and more in some segments than others. What we see is basically in detached properties, average price has left the building. Those townhomes, those duplexes, we knew they were hot before. Well, now it's like $415,000 to catch one. We get down to those row and townhouse. This is newly hot stuff. For 5 years, the average for this stuff was $260. Now it's $292. Those people that bought last year, good on you. You made a ton of money. Things have gone really well for you. This is still, I would consider, an undervalued market. I still think that there's really good purchases to be made all throughout Edmonton. The only place for us to go is up. Some people don't know that for 10 years, we just didn't get any appreciation, and it's all coming at once. And this is what we're waiting for. You sluggish condos, come on around. We know that people are buying it in record amounts, and we just cannot get this, or have not yet got this average price to start showing the same as these others. Like, look how different this is. This line of average price is in a fight with all the lines over the last 5 years. Whereas this trend line that we saw for townhouses, for duplexes, for single-family detached, doesn't look anything like that. And that's why we're calling these apartment-style condos undervalued. The people being pushed out of townhouses are now buying apartment-style condos. They cannot sustain at the amount of inventory that's kind of being absorbed. And as we go into what is like kind of the new listing darkness of January, or just as January 1, that will basically mean that this will get tight. And then when it shows up in the spring, I think it'll be different. I think that we're going to be fighting for deals on apartment style condos. It's very likely rent is going to continue. And think about how many more people are going to be invited to play in real estate when we're dealing with lower interest rates the way that are predicted. They were saying 3.5% as a prime by the spring. Now they're saying 3.0. They're talking about aggressive half a point moves. And that will essentially open the gates for more buyers to come in. And how many buyers have you guys been talking to that have said they're waiting for interest rates?
I don't have enough fingers on both hands with the amount of people that are thinking, we just got to hold on a little bit longer because they feel like they're going to get that much better of a deal with their interest rate.
Yeah. And Ryan, you've made thousands of calls this year to talk to people about real estate. Like, would the number of people that said they were waiting for interest rates, would that be a two-digit number, a 3-digit number? Is it a 4-digit number?
It's up there for sure. It's a big topic of discussion for people, right? And whether that's a bit of like a mental obstacle or whether that actually translates, I think it's kind of the truth is somewhere in the middle. But definitely people knowing that it's headed in the right direction kind of percolates their interest, and you can kind of hear you almost feel them leaning in a little bit more over the phone. Oh, the rates have been going down. And it's definitely a lot of people waiting for that to happen and kind of sitting on the sidelines, and now more so kind of diving into it. Even this time of year was a little bit surprising to see, how much was actually happening. So
I totally agree with that. And the segment that I think is going to respond to these lowest interest rates the most is established tenants. They just got told, they haven't been told that their rent's going up in years and years. And now 2 years in a row, they probably got told that their rent is bumping up each year. And that group, they know that it's cheaper to go buy something. And with interest rates changing as much as they're expected to change, I can't see them not jumping in and fueling the demand on the real estate side. So it'll be interesting to see how it takes off. Is there anything that you guys want to make sure that people out there know before we end this broadcast?
You know what? It's never too early to have a conversation and make sure you know who your agent is. I keep running into people that say that, you know what, I worked with the listing agent because we just went to the open house, and what they're saying is they are unprepared and they feel like they didn't get the service that they needed. And so I've been telling them, please talk to your family and friends about referring us, checking out reviews, making sure that they feel comfortable with someone, because you're about to do the largest transaction that you've probably ever been a part of. And you should have someone looking out for your best interests, and you should not be working with the listing agent. So get a great agent on your side, check out our reviews, see if one of us could be the best fit. Save yourself from a 3-star experience.
Absolutely. The way you should see a listing agent is the same way that Little Red Riding Hood should have seen her grandmother, right? They are calling you in to eat you. And you should know that. Most listing agents are not starving. They're not selling out their sellers. They are telling you what you want to hear until you're too close, and then you're trapped. So be very careful with that. There's rules about that. They obviously have to follow the rules. And I think there's a lot of agents that follow the rules, but I think that there's a lot of buyers that don't understand what buyer beware means. And imagine walking into McDonald's and saying, what should I eat today? If that sounds ill-advised to you, then don't ask someone who already plays for the other team to help you. Ryan, anything on your mind in that regard?
Yeah, I think that's a great to bring up. The only thing I would add is just, it never hurts to, even if it feels a little premature, to make us part of the conversation. And, whether that's just getting an idea, maybe you have a property, you're considering, maybe renting it out a bit longer, thinking about maybe selling it. It wouldn't hurt to just get an idea of all your options. And I mean, there's no, commitment that needs to be made. And, if we can shed some light on any situation that could maybe make options more presentable for someone who's kind of considering, then that's part of the job and part of the service we provide. So I think it doesn't hurt to reach out and just get a little more information.
Absolutely. And don't even get ready. Like, don't feel the obligation to get ready for us to come through. We don't want you ready. We're part of the get ready team. Like, you just need to live there. It shouldn't be show home at all when we come by. It should be your home. And we'll talk to you about where to spend time and where not to spend time. But if 2025 is when you see your property being listed, in this market, there's so much potential. There's so much potential for huge wins on the seller side. The earlier you involve us in the conversation, the better you will do. All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me a little bit about what's going on in our market, in market statistics, but also the stories that are happening in the market, because some of these families are experiencing incredible wins, and some people are hearing from their coworkers that it's terrifying. Even their agent says, oh, it's crazy. Well, if you're interviewing multiple listing agents, please talk to us and ask the other agents, what have they done to change their listing process for this market? If you've been doing this for 30 years, how is it different now? And if it isn't different, well, prepare to take the first offer, be on and off the market on Friday. And that's something that might be different than the way that you could run it now. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Take care. Talk soon.